your night out for you is the bartending, right? Because you're being
Right.
paid to be out and hopefully
Yeah.
they give you some food too.
I
So,
do get a free shift meal every time I work.
yes, this is why if you
So
listen to my podcast, I
get a
always push.
bartending job, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I just wanted to give a shout out for anyone who is interested in being a guest. It is completely anonymous, so we'll let you choose a fake name and we will hide identifiable information so you can come on the show and share freely. It is a full hour to an hour and a half with me, Barbara, and we'll do a deep dive on your finances, where you're doing well, where maybe you're struggling, and come up with a game plan for how to reach your financial goals. To be a guest, you just need to put a submission in either on Instagram or on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com. And you just need to be a female. As we've said before, this podcast is produced with Amy, Alex, and myself, so an all-female team, and our goal is to help improve financial education amongst women. So that is why we interview women about their finances. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in being a guest, please put in a submission on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com, or send us a message on Instagram. Hello, and welcome to the Niches Podcast, Future Rich. I'm your host, Barbara Ginty, and I am here with my guest today, Violet. Hi, Violet.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Excited to be here. A little nervous, but
Okay.
excited.
Oh, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. We're very excited to have you. So why don't you fill myself and our listeners in about who you are, so where you live, how old you are, what you make, all that jazz.
Sure. So I'm 30 years old and I live in Pennsylvania. Currently, I'm working as a digital marketing, digital marketing associate for, ironically, a finance firm, a local finance and investment
Ooh,
firm. Yes, here in Pennsylvania. And annually, I make around 51, 52K. And then I also do have a part-time job as a bartender at a bar down the street from my house. And this is a new development for me. So I've only been working there for a couple of weeks now. But that income kind of fluctuates, with the service industry. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of my background here financially, I guess.
I love to hear that you have a side job. I'm a big,
I do.
if you listen to the podcast, I'm a big fan of
Yes.
that. And then I imagine, well, when I worked in the service industry, it was a lot of cash because I'm old. And now I think more of it's on the books.
Yeah. So the way mine works is actually kind of nice. Any cash tips that I get that night, I take home with me, but anything, credit card tips that I get, my managers just add it into a paycheck and then pay me twice a week or
Mm-hmm.
bi-weekly with that paycheck, which is kind of nice because then taxes are already taken out of it in
Taken
addition
out.
to my
Yep.
hourly, because I think the hourly serving wage here in PA is 283 an hour. So then normally
Oh, it
like
hasn't
tax,
gone up much.
no,
I
no.
think I was 215.
Yep, yep. So 283. And then that's nice because then tax time rolls around and you're a little bit more prepared in terms of you have the money taken out and you don't have to owe as much at the end of the year. So that's kind of how mine works. And I like the setup that I keep my cash as like my spending money, my silly
Yep.
money, and then the other stuff goes towards some of the goals that I'm working on right now. So
Perfect. I love that.
yeah.
And I guess for everyone listening who has their jaw has hit the floor, so many people don't realize that with bartenders and waitresses or waiters, that the hourly wage is minuscule
Hmm.
because you're reliant on tips for your income.
Yeah, not all states are like that. I know New York State, they go by minimum wage is 15. So the servers up in New York, bless you, they're
Well,
making
they
they
changed it. I was a waitress in New York. I was making 215.
yeah, at least
So
a
they
couple
must
years
have
ago.
changed it.
Yeah, at least a couple years ago I was on a trip up there in the Finger Lakes and I was talking to the guy cuz I've been in the service industry since, I was 18 years old. So,
18, yeah.
yep, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, I make $15 an hour plus tips." I was like, "I'm moving to New York." Cuz that's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just gonna say because I felt like I did really well as a waitress. I waited tables in college.
Yeah.
And then a little bit my first year in New York, it proved to be too hard with a job where they had you flying, because then obviously you can't be like, well, I can't fly tonight because I have a
Right.
waitress shift.
Yeah.
um, I did pretty well with just the base. But yeah, you're right. It depends on where
Yeah.
you're. But a lot of waitresses and waiters and bartenders have a very, very low minimum
Yeah.
wage. But
Hmm.
okay, so I love that you have a second job and
Yes,
you
I
get
do.
cash. That's wonderful.
Hmm.
Okay, so talk to me then about your expenses, and then we'll go through your savings.
Okay, so a lot of my expenses now. So I guess the reason why I was called to interview or talk with you is that I feel like my expenses are relatively low. It's my debt payments that I'm having a lot of trouble working on, getting
Okay,
those out. I feel like it takes up a ton of my budget. Um, so currently, the house I'm living in, I do rent. I have a roommate, and our rent is 1,400, so we split that 700 each. Um,
great.
utilities for us kind of between gas and electric, that's what we pay for. We don't use the gas in the summertime because that's
Right.
just for our heating. I put on my budget, it could vary between like 150 to 200 a month, depending. And like usually the electric is higher over the summer because of our air conditioning.
Yep.
Wi-Fi is $80 a month. I have a cell phone bill that's $44 a month. I'm actually going to pull up my budget because I do have a copy of it on my phone because I want to
Oh,
make sure I don't miss
perfect.
anything. Um, yeah, so rent. I did recently lease a new car. So I do have a car
Okay.
payment that's $434.
Okay.
I have yet to pay the first payment on that because I just got the car a couple weeks ago. But
Okay.
I have a pet insurance payment, $65. Let's see. I
What about
paid my
car
car insurance.
insurance?
I paid that up front for 6 months,
Okay.
but that is around the monthly rate is like 160. I just don't have that built into my budget right now because I paid it the
Okay.
6 months up front.
Already.
I have about $100 budgeted for gasoline, 200 for groceries monthly, and then I do partake in yoga classes. That's kind of like my physical fitness slash mental health thing that I do for myself. That's 120 a month for unlimited classes. I do see a mental health therapist. That it's a priority in my budget. Unfortunately, my health insurance does not cover mental health therapy, which kind of sucks. So I have to pay full price out of pocket for that, which is 120 per session.
Okay.
And I see her once a month for that. And then I do have a Planet Fitness membership, but I'm working on canceling that because I don't know anyone who like actually goes to a Planet Fitness regularly. And if you do, that's no shade. It's just like so they make it so hard to cancel the membership because you have
They
to
make
go
it so
in
hard.
there.
Physically go in there.
It's
Physic
so
I
annoying,
have
and
a
a
Planet.
manager has to be on duty. It's crazy. Like it's
Yes.
so
I,
dumb.
I have a Planet Fitness because I travel back and forth between Utah and New York, and I do go when I'm in New York, but it's you can't like even pause it. Like if I'm out of
Yeah.
town, my dad told me he saw somebody, and I don't know if this is true because he also has one, that the person was trying to cancel like the membership for a deceased person. And the manager's like, well, I really need the person. And they're like, they're dead.
It just yeah, like and I
It's
live in a
impossible
super
to get.
small town. Yeah,
It's
it's
so hard to
crazy.
cancel.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, it's on my way home from work. I should just go in and do it. But like the social interaction gives me like so much anxiety. Like I don't know. So I'm working on getting that done, but on the budget right now, it's $25 a month. So it's like basically $25 I'm throwing in the garbage. It wouldn't be going in the
Okay.
garbage if I used it, but I don't go there. So
So it's good to know. But yeah, I think maybe just psych yourself up and be like, I'm going to get a cup of coffee and then I'm just going to go
yeah,
hang out at Planet Fitness.
get it
Maybe just
done.
sit in the massage chair until the manager's at back and ready to go.
Yeah. And then I
Um,
do have my minimums for my debt payments as well. I don't know if you wanted
yeah, let's
that.
hear those. Those will be the big ones, I
Okay.
imagine. Okay.
Okay, so I have a lot of shame talking about this. I'm trying to not let it like dictate me who I am. So I'm just going to speak openly about it and be candid because who really cares? Okay. So my first one, I have a Wells Fargo credit card that the minimum payment is $128.
Okay.
I have a Amazon credit card. The minimum payment on that is $220.
Okay.
I have a Capital One that the minimum is $136.
Okay.
And then I also have an Upstart personal loan that I used to pay off credit cards in the past, but now I'm
Okay.
back in credit card debt. That payment is $365 a month. I fell back into some credit card debt after getting the loan and paying off the cards.
Okay. Yeah. Credit cards are slippery, slippery little things. Okay. Perfect. And then do you want to tell me what the balance, why? Because those are your minimum payments. Do you want to tell me what your balances are for
Yep.
each? And we'll come up with a plan.
Yes. So the balance on the Wells Fargo card is $4,340. And this is
Okay.
all rounded up. I don't have exact
Yeah.
change.
That's totally fine.
My the Amazon credit card is 5,216, although I did just make a $250 payment on that on Friday, so that's probably lower
Oh, great.
at this point. And then my Capital One is at 4,225.
Okay.
And then I have an Upstart. That one balance is $11,453.
Okay.
And I don't
Perfect.
know if it's worth mentioning, but I do have a student loan. However, my parents, luckily, bless them, have offered to take over the payments on that for a little bit, for both myself and my sister, just kind of as a gift. So
That's
I'm
great.
currently, yeah, I'm very lucky. So that is not currently in my budget, but it is a debt that I do have, and that has, I don't know the exact amount. I want to say it's less than $7,000 that's left on the student loan, but I'm not paying those right
Paying
now.
it. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I'm going to jot that down. Okay. Well, let's focus. That's super generous of your parents.
They're great.
Yeah. So we'll table that for the moment since it's not an immediate need and they've said they'll take care of it.
Yep.
And then
Okay.
we can come back to that. But let's take care of the immediate, which is the credit card. And let me just see if I add up your current expenses. And well, we're going to use the bartending money. I think I want to use that to help with the debt. So, and I think that's a fantastic way to do it. So, why don't
Yeah.
you tell me what you're bringing home right now from your digital marketing job, like on a monthly basis, what gets deposited while I add up your expenses here
Yeah.
that you gave
So
me?
my digital marketing job, I get paid semi-monthly, so once on the 5th and once on the 20th of each month.
Okay.
And that's 1,600, so it's like 1,645 every time I get paid.
Okay,
Now,
perfect.
another disclaimer about my income, I do get bonuses at work. So depending on how the firm does, we have a profit sharing bonus, and that's dependent on obviously the state of the economy, how our stocks do, et cetera. And then we also have a performance bonus, a performance-based bonus. And I mean, I can talk a little bit about that if you want, but in terms of like the amounts, it's not a static amount. Or I guess, does
So it's
static mean it stays the same, or does it mean it's different?
I believe static means now I'm doubting myself. I think static means it stays the same.
Okay,
So
so they're
it's
dynamic,
variable,
meaning
they
yes,
move.
correct. Yes. And
Yeah.
I don't count that in any of my monthly budget because I like to budget based off of my base salary and
Your
not my
fixed
bonuses.
income. Yeah, what you're going to
Exactly.
have as a fixed income. Perfect. No, I think that's great.
Exactly.
Okay, so you get 1645 it was, you said once,
Correct.
twice a month.
Yes.
Okay. So you're bringing home 3,000 290. And I have
Sure.
down with the numbers you gave me, the 700 for rent, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Utilities, car lease, pet insurance, yoga, I have Planet Fitness in there. Then it comes out to be $2,250. I'm rounding up. Does that sound about
Okay.
right for what you have on your budget?
Yeah, the way mine's broken down on my spreadsheet is it has everything with the debt payments, but that does sound about right.
Okay, yeah. So let me add in your debt payments. So then your
Okay.
debt payments with the minimum is 128, 220 plus 136 plus 365. So that comes to 850. So 850 plus, I'll just say 2,250. That comes to basically 3,100. So you
Hmm.
really don't have much room for error with your budget, right? So you basically
Yeah,
have like an extra two, maybe extra 190 a month, right? And so that could, $190
right.
over 4 weeks can disappear pretty quickly. You know,
Yeah,
if your grocery goes up or your utilities are a little high, like it's really hot, right, with the air
exactly.
conditioning. So you don't have a ton of wiggle room. But here's what
Hmm.
I do think. I think the bartending job, and what's your intention with that? Like how often are you scheduled to work? Are you planning on working? And what is it? I know it varies, but on an average night, because obviously you have great nights and then bad nights, right? Where no one comes
Sure.
in. But on an
Yeah.
average night, what do you think you would make in cash? Like if you had to
So
estimate.
So I'm only working there 2 days a week for now, and that's just one because I don't want to be working every single day of my life, and two, the place that I'm working, it's a small local business, so they already have two part-time, or I'm sorry, two full-timers that I don't want to step on their toes, take their hours. I'm there to just kind of fill in, supplement when they're
Yeah.
not, when
I
they
feel
want a
like
day off or whatever.
2 days a week with a full-time job is wonderful.
Yeah, so I work Tuesday nights. I have the whole night shift to myself, so that's 5 to 9, and then I do like either Saturday or Sunday. And I would say in cash, I've been getting like at the most like $20 walk home, right? Because most
Okay.
people pay in credit card
Card.
tips. I did just get my first bartending paycheck from them on Friday, which was $257. And I took that, I opened up like a separate checking account for all my
Okay.
bartending checks. And I just
Perfect.
threw that 250 like straight on my Amazon card in addition
Yep.
to the minimum payment that comes out of my other bank account.
Yep. So I think that all the bartending money goes to the credit cards
Yes. Okay.
because you don't have enough wiggle room in your regular budget. There's not really anything we can cut out. It's, I did a podcast where someone had 800 allocated for fun. Like you don't have that allocate, right? You know what I'm saying? So like I
Right.
don't have anywhere to pull a lot to pull from. So what I would
Okay.
say is the bartending job is great. I think 2 days a week working a side job is great because you're working your full-time job 5 days a week, I presume.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So that, I don't think you need to be bartending every night, unless that was something you wanted to. I think 2 days a week, and so on average, so you're not walking home because yeah, everyone not a lot of cash these days. So the 257, how many was that from two shifts of bartending or
That
from
was from like 2 weeks worth. So I would
2 weeks,
say,
four shifts?
yeah, around 4 shifts worth. Yeah.
Okay, so four shifts, and then you probably
Now,
got a little cash too.
correct. The caveat with that is so for those shifts, I was training on a couple of them. So I had to
Okay,
split. I was working with another
splits.
adult. We split it down the middle. So I'm hoping going forward now that I have Tuesday nights by myself, because the one Tuesday night, I mean, the both of us made like 140 all together, but we split it. So,
Right.
if I work like Tuesday night, I'll get all of that to myself versus, splitting it with her. We do split
Mm-hmm.
on the busier shifts, but that's because like Saturdays and Sundays are a lot busier.
Busier.
So,
So do you
yeah,
think you could like on average make like 100 a shift all in, like take
I
home?
think, yeah, I do think that's possible for sure.
Because then if you're working two shifts a week, right? Even if we
Hmm.
said 75, so then you're working 8 shifts a month, right?
Hmm.
That's $600 extra a month for the credit cards.
Yeah, yeah,
That's material. It's a that's a good
yeah.
chunk of change. And it could be high, or it could be low, or it could be 500, but it could also be
Right.
700 or 800 if you're averaging 100 a shift.
Yeah. Hmm.
I would put all of that right on the credit cards.
Okay.
Now, the hard part about credit cards is the interest,
Yes.
right? And so I'm just going to take, do you have any emergency fund or anything like that at this point? I don't want
I
to make
do
the
have a
assumption.
I do have some money saved as an emergency fund, yes.
Okay, how much do you have in there?
Let me grab the exact amount. I know it's around $4,000. Um,
Okay, good.
I have it in a wealth front account for high yield, just try and make a
Hmm.
little bit of money off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
4,000. $331 is what I have in like the high yield savings emergency fund.
Okay, perfect. And then any other savings? Are you in your work retirement?
Not yet. So I do
Okay.
have a 401k currently that's got around 27,000
Oh,
in
great.
there from a past job.
Okay.
The way my job works now is I have to wait a year of service before I can start contributing to their 401k. They do not match. However, with them being in finance world, I suppose I am eligible to be part of their ESOP.
You work for an ESOP company?
I think so. I'll be honest, girl. I don't know much about like that side of finance. I make the numbers look good and I market them. But yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so hold the phone. ESOP is one of my, okay, so I love ESOPs.
okay. I don't know
And
anything
most,
about them.
that's fine. Like 99% of America has no idea what it is. It's an
Okay.
employee stock ownership program, and there is a wait time to get in it. And what it means is all the employees own the company. It is very rare. There are only 2,000 in the country.
Wow. Okay.
hmm The statistics on an ESOP, shoot, I have like my textbook somewhere and I don't know where. The statistics on the ESOP are phenomenal. So,
Okay.
okay, so this is amazing. So, working for an ESOP, you should never leave. No, I'm just kidding. You want to work
That's what
there
my dad said.
forever. Oh, did your dad know what an ESOP is? So many people don't know what they are. But yeah, you
Yeah.
should.
So my dad knew because I ran my budget by him and I've gotten his advice a little bit too, but he comes from a completely different tax bracket than I do. So sometimes his advice is not helpful for me.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of why I'm reaching out to you and wanting to go through this with you. But yeah, he said the same thing about an ESOP that it's good that I at least stay a couple, I think he said 5 years. And I think that's what the number of years is on the
Because
ESOP plan.
right. So you want to invest in the ESOP. I would say you really, if you are ever going to leave, please come back on the podcast because you really have
Okay.
to do a very deep dive analysis on what the other company is going to offer you. Because the statistics on ESOP employees is they retire with 2 times more than the average American, sometimes 3 times
Oh,
more. Yeah. hmm
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because you're getting profits of the company. And so I know another, I've worked with some ESOPs participants before. They all retired millionaires.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Not guaranteed, not guaranteed. I
Of
can't
course.
guarantee that your ESOP is going to do that.
Yeah, of
But
course.
to give you perspective, the one who retired a millionaire, it was a gas station employee.
Love that.
He became a manager, and like worked his way up in the ESOP. But their ESOP, the reason why is the ESOP had an average return every year of 18%.
Okay. Wow.
That's just unusual. Obviously, the stock market doesn't do that. And so it was just a very profitable company. They also have a lot of tax benefits as ESOPs. Usually, when you get in an ESOP, they have all amazing benefits, and you're participating in the profits of the company, which don't come at me for this. I have to review my notes because I haven't looked at
Sure.
I took a test on this 2 years ago. Um, they're not paying taxes, if I remember correctly. So then all the profits are going back into your plan that you're participating in.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your dad is right. You definitely want to get vested in it. And then I would say you really want to consider it's not the same as a 401k, your ESOP participation. And so if you
Okay.
ever want to go somewhere else, like you would have to be making a lot more money to give up. Like, so let's say your ESOP plan is averaging like somewhere between 15 and 20% return every year, and you participate in
Okay.
those profits. Yes, you don't know if the company is always going to be profitable, right? But they're usually closely held organizations, and they're usually run efficiently. You have to have good management for an ESOP to work in the first place, which is why there's only 2,000 in the country,
Right.
based on the last numbers I saw. So if you're going to go to another job, a private job, like a 401k that's not employee owned, and they give you like an 8% match, but you're making 18% over here and not having
Right.
to contribute, that's not the same
Okay.
financially. So you
Yeah.
definitely, if you are thinking about leaving, you need to do some like serious analysis on what your actual uh, pay is with the ESOP, like based on what you're getting as an owner of that company,
Okay.
like a true owner, like not like because the ESOP it's all owned by the employees.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why the individuals who work for ESOPs retire with significantly more money than like an average 401k participant.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. So, yeah, I do have a 401k and I'm able to contribute to the 401k after a year. And I that money that I have now, it's in Fidelity. So I think I'm going to keep it
Mhm.
there and then just roll whatever contributions from my paycheck into Fidelity. And then I hit my 1 year mark at this job in July. So I'll be able to get into the ESOP program in July.
Amazing. Yeah,
So I have
I
some
just
notes on it
okay, because I
because
just
I
looked, I was just Googling it because I couldn't remember the numbers off the top of my head because I haven't looked at it since I took my exam on it. Because I took a class
yeah.
to get the SEPA designation so I could learn more about it because I find it to be like really, really fascinating. And I think the numbers, it's like 172% more in retirement if you work for an ESOP.
That's crazy.
Hmm.
Especially because the past year I have not been contributing anything to a 401k. That was making me a little nervous because,
Yeah, I would not worry about it.
okay. Yeah. And then I also have the option to start an HSA, which I was thinking of doing as well because I do have company paid healthcare through my job. So they pay
Hmm.
for my healthcare, which is great, but it's a high deductible plan. So I'm running into issues with that
Yep.
where I have to pay my full deductible of 1700 before insurance covers pretty much anything.
Hmm.
So that's been kind of a struggle because I am starting to experience a couple of health problems that I want to, keep on top of.
Sure.
So I think I'm going to start, I think that's after a year as well. I can start
Do
contributing to
that.
their HSA. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a contribution on your behalf as well. And then
Okay.
you could probably then get the receipts for your therapist and take that out of the
Mm,
HSA.
okay.
You could see if that it would be considered a deductible expense, but I would think that you'd be able to put that through.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's all great. So do not worry about not contributing for a year. And it's standard protocol that there's a year wait, and that is what it is. I
Right.
think the focus here would be let's get your credit cards paid off. And then
Yeah.
let's see. So if you are making, let's see here, with the bartending money, 600 a month, right? Give or take. And that's over 12 months, that would be 7,200.
Hmm.
So it is going to take a bit of time, but you said you get bonuses that are variable.
Correct.
What do those look like? Like, do you have an idea what those might look like? Could we add those in to pay off the credit cards too?
Yeah, so I received one that was like 3,000. That was pre-tax. That so for that I think I got in my check like 22 or like
Two? Yeah.
2,100.
Okay.
And those for a while, like when I first started, part of my onboarding was I said I want a starting bonus and I want the bonus that I wouldn't be eligible to get and then I'll start with you guys and they gave that to me. So I
Oh,
used a
great.
lot of that to pad my emergency savings. Unfortunately, I did have to dip into the emergency savings like a month or so ago because I had this huge fiasco with my car and it was like this whole thing. I had to like buy a new one and, I was very hesitant to spend that money because it didn't feel like an emergency to me. But my friends were like, Violet, girl, that's like an emergency. Like, you need to do that so that you don't like put these repairs like on a credit card
Credit card.
or put your
Yeah.
deposits on, anything like that. So that was a hard lesson to learn. But yeah, so my bonuses range, I would say like around like the 2,000 mark is kind of where they are, give or take $100 more, a hundred or couple $100 more, a couple $100 less, depending on, the profit and everything that goes on with that.
And you'll get one or two of those a year.
So normally we get two. Last year we got three because we got
Okay.
a Christmas bonus. So
Oh, nice.
that's not standard according to my manager when we spoke. But yeah, so it's two a year.
Okay, so two.
March and August usually is when they're paid out.
Okay, perfect. So then you would be getting another one coming up here.
Yes.
So that would definitely, I would put that on the Wells Fargo if we start, like if we
Okay.
shoot to do, well, technically your Capital One is the lower one, and you just made the payment on that one, you said. So, okay, so then I would actually start on they're pretty even, Wells Fargo and Capital One. So
Yeah.
whatever one is higher interest, I'd start on that one because the balances are about the same,
Okay.
or they're similar. And so what I would do is tackle one credit card at a time, because then you'll
Hmm.
start to see, you'll see it get better, right? So by August, you'll have 2,000 to put right on Capital One. If you put, we'll just say that's the one with the highest interest. I don't know, but
I
and
think
then
that one is the one with the highest interest. I think you're
oh,
right.
okay, perfect. So we'll just use that one then. So then you'll put
Okay.
your bonus right on there. And what I'll say is you're going to have to be really disciplined, and it's not going to be
Yeah.
your night out for you is the bartending, right? Because you're being
Right.
paid to be out, and hopefully
Yeah.
they give you some food too. So
I do get a free shift meal every time I work.
yes, this is why if you
So
listen to my podcast,
get a bartending job, guys.
I always push for that. And that's because that's what my dad taught me. My dad was like, well, if you are tight on money, when you go and be a wait, I actually was a terrible bartender, so I can't do that. I can only wait tables. I tried bartending and I was like, too many people looking at me. No, thank you.
It's
Um,
it's a forced social interaction. I get it for sure.
yeah, I was like, I'd rather be like, okay, your food's good. See you later. I'm going to the next table.
Yep.
But my dad was always like, you get a free meal, right? You're out,
Yes.
you're getting social interaction, you're getting paid
Yes.
for it, and you're getting free food. So
Yeah.
that was my dad's thing was like, no matter whatever happens in life, you can always be a waitress and then you can always support yourself and eat. And I was
100%.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're not spending money. So that's your night out, and that's fine
Okay.
because it's
Yeah.
temporary. You just need to do
Okay.
this for a little bit to get the as you've experienced, the credit cards are a super slippery slope, and once you get in, it's
Yeah.
hard to get out. You're like in this hole, and it's very
Yes.
hard to climb out of it. So
Yes.
the great news is we don't have to really worry as much about your retirement because you're in an ESOP. So all you have to do is work
Okay.
there, and you should be
Yes.
fine from a retirement standpoint.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So we just need to focus, and it's probably going to take you like, it depends on how it goes, but probably like 3 years to get out of these credit cards.
Okay.
Even with, because like, let's say, so you have 1,700 in 12 months with bartending, plus let's say you have 4,000 of bonuses. So that's like 11,000, right?
Hmm.
And there's interest accruing on these. That's the problem. So it's
Yeah.
right? So even at 2 years, that gets you to 22,000. So you'll be close, but it depends on how much interest is accumulating as we're doing this. So ideally, you get it
Right.
done in 2.5 years, but it could take, and then if there's a month that something comes up, right, that's going to
Hmm.
delay it, which that's okay. But I would
Yep.
say every penny I would put on the credit cards. And if someone offers an extra shift, I would look at it as at the end of when your credit cards are done, you don't have to have a bartending job. If you really like it, maybe you go down to
Right.
one night a week because it's a free night out, you get paid to go
Right. It's a
out, you
free
get
meal. Yep.
free meal if you enjoy it. It's hard work, obviously, but
Yeah.
when you get in your rhythm, I don't know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you
And I
also
think
miss
that's,
cash.
yeah, I think that's kind of like where I'm at right now is a transition of like, and I was very, very open with first off my family and also my friends, because I feel like if they don't know like where you're at in your, I guess, financial journey, like it's harder for me to say no to things if they don't know what I'm going through. So I made
Yes.
sure to be very like candid with them and just say, like, hey guys, I'm in a crap ton of debt right now. And like, our activities, like we can obviously still hang out and kiki and have fun, but like our activities, like I cannot spend a
And
lot. So
right.
that was kind of, and it was, I'm lucky, very well received and, had a lot of support. But I think the transition for me too is like the way I've operated for the longest time is, oh, if there's money in your account, you should just spend it. And if you don't have the money for what you want, just put it on a credit card. And
Yep.
that's a very hard and shameful thing for
Hmm.
me to admit, but that's how I got here. And I think that, like, with having to buy a new car, I had to take a hard look at my finances, girl. And I looked and I was like, oh, wow, I am not where I'd like to be. And I'm juggling and I'm struggling and like I have nothing to save. And that's a little scary for me. So that's kind of where that was kind of like my, I guess, my jump off point of like, okay, I need to like buckle down and actually like fix this because it's not going to it's not going to be fixed overnight, but
Right. And it's not
also
going to
no one.
get better until you acknowledge it, right? Like,
Yeah, it was a hard one, but here we are.
no, I think that's great. And I think that I think what happens is it's really easy to get caught up in saying like, well, I want to do this, there's a concert I want to go to, so I'll just put the
Oh yeah.
$200 on a credit card. because everyone else is going and everyone else can
Yeah.
afford it. So I'll just put it on and then I'll figure it out. And then you do that a few more times and then
Oh yeah.
it just, and then the thing is the credit card company loves that because then you just pay the minimum and they charge you outrageous interest.
Yeah.
And it is hard, especially depending on where your friend group is and what their income levels, because I would imagine it varies. And so just because one person can afford
Yes.
it doesn't mean everybody can. And that's a hard
Exactly.
position. And so I think that's great that you said, like, I'm trying to pay off my debt. That's my priority. I'd be like, you can come to unlimited yoga with me at the yoga studio, or
Yep.
you come to my apartment, or I can meet you in a park, or you could come
Yeah.
when I'm working bartending, right? Like you could
Yep.
come on Tuesdays and Saturdays I'm bartending if you want to come see me. But I think that's smart because if your family and friends are supportive of your journey, it makes it a lot
Hmm.
easier. Then you don't want to be around people who are pressuring you to spend money because unless
Yeah.
they're going to pick up the tab, right? Or like,
Exactly.
to give you perspective, when I bought this business, I took a very big hit in income leaving Wall Street to buy a business. And I would say my best friend would be like, "Oh, let's go to dinner." And I'd be like, "I can't afford that dinner." And I had a lovely best friend who had never, she hadn't come down in income like I did. And
Okay.
she's like, "That's
Yeah.
fine. We want you to come to dinner and we're happy to treat." And I'm like, "I don't want you to pay." And she's like, "Well, we really want to see you and this is where we want to go to dinner. So you're going to come and we're going to take care of it." And I'd be like, "Are you sure?" So
Yeah.
and that's the right thing to do as a friend, right? Like I can't
Of
afford where
course.
you're going, and I'm telling you, I'd love to see you, but I can't go there. I'm happy to meet you before. I'm happy to meet you after. And
Yeah.
so, and then there's like the thing is in life, money comes and goes. I'm a big believer of that,
Yes.
and people's situations change. And
Hmm.
so, I was very fortunate to have a friend who was very understanding that my situation had changed and was happy to treat. I didn't feel comfortable doing that all the time, but it was nice, to be
Right.
taken out to dinner when I couldn't afford to go to dinner. And then other friends who weren't in that position to be able to pay for me, we would meet at a park and we would bring our own meals. Like I'd be like, "I'll
Yep.
meet you in the park and I'm going to I'm going to make dinner at home, meet you in the park, and we'll have dinner together in the park." So there's a lot
Okay.
of ways where you can do it, but I finding those supportive people and making sure that your friends and family are supportive of your journey is very
Yeah.
important because it's easy to get derailed if you're being pressured.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like a big part of my life is my relationships and my friendships and my family. Like I invest a lot of my personal time into the people in my life. And I know that they don't care about the money I make. Like they want to see me and and it's the same with them. Like I'm not friends with any of my friends because of what they have in their bank accounts or don't have in their bank accounts.
Right.
So it's just nice to know that like I was lucky enough to be upfront and honest with them. And like you said, everyone's in different situations. Like most of my
Right.
friends are married, two incomes. Like
That's totally
I'm kind
different.
of the odd,
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
odd one out where I'm doing everything myself, and that's tough. So yeah,
Yeah, it is. And I will say my friend was married at the time when I took the income hit. She was married. They had two incomes. They were very comfortable. And I
yeah,
did like lose friends over it because I had one friend who was like, "Well, it's my birthday." And I was like, I have no money. like, like
yeah. I love
I
you. Happy
can't,
birthday, but
I can't come. And she's like, "Well," I was like, "I'm happy to come to the restaurant for your birthday party, but I cannot eat. I'm happy to drink water, but I
yeah,
cannot afford $150 a night out. Like I don't have the money." And she was like, "Well, it's just one night." That's what she said. And I was like, "I don't have the money." I was like,
right.
what would you like me to do when it comes to split the bill? I'm not putting it on a credit card and I do not have it. And it was a big
Right.
thing. I was like, "I'm happy to go." If and in New York City that wasn't very, waitress. I felt bad for the waitress. Like I would go and sit and drink water. The other friend who would pay for me, she'd be like, "Come to dinner, and if you don't want to eat, that's fine. You can just have water if you feel uncomfortable." Like if we're going to a big group, and like I
Yeah.
would just sit at the table and eat the bread and drink the free water, and then they
I
would.
mean, yeah,
And but then my girlfriend didn't care. She was like, "It's totally fine. Like, don't worry about
right.
it. If they say anything, I'll deal with it." But this other friend was like, "I don't understand why you can't just come to my birthday." And I'm like, "Because I literally don't have money. Like, I don't."
Yeah.
So I ended up not being friends with her after that because it's
Yeah.
if you're not going to understand my situation, like that's
Right.
super inconsiderate. Like, I don't have any money.
Right. Choosing not to align with your goals and and like you said, like what you said about it's temporary, like I have to remember
Yes.
that too. Like it's not going to be like this forever. And once I'm able to pay off, like, because I kind of like I said, was talking to my dad, and he's a big Dave Ramsey fan. And, I think some of the stuff he talks about is helpful, but a lot of it I feel like is kind of outdated advice. But that's
Hmm.
again just my opinion. But my dad was saying, like, once I pay off like one of my cards, like for example, the
Yeah.
Amazon card, like with the higher minimum that's already built into my budget, like once that one's paid off, like with like we talked about,
Yes.
like my bartending money, then I can move that 220 towards a different one because I'm already used to paying it. So I can
Yep.
add that to like the Capital One card or whichever other one.
Exactly. And you can choose. So I had to do the Capital One because I was using the lowest balance versus the highest or second highest payment. So you could
Okay.
choose either. So, but I do like the idea of focusing on one and not your
Yeah.
largest. Like I would do Upstart last because it's your biggest one. So
Okay.
I personally would start on one of the lower ones because I think for you,
Okay.
it'll feel really good. Whether you do
Okay.
Amazon, Capital One, or Wells Fargo, they're really not hugely different in
Right.
terms of balances.
Yeah.
So if Amazon is your highest minimum payment at 220, if you get
Yeah.
rid of that one first, you'll take that payment plus keep your budget the same, and then you'll be able to tackle
Yeah.
it. And I
Okay.
think you'll feel really good about yourself when you start to see you can like cross it off. You're like, instead of four, I have three, right? And that'll start to feel
Exactly.
really, really good. And you'll see with all the discipline and having two jobs, like how it's paying off. And it is a
Yeah.
100% temporary, 100%. So the
Yeah.
the more you stick to the plan, and not to say like don't beat yourself up if there's a month where it doesn't work out as well, because that's life. But
Hmm.
if you stick to the plan, you're doing two things. Not only are you paying off your debt, but you're really, really harnessing your self-discipline, right? Of like, this
Yeah.
is my goal, this is what I want in life, and I'm going to get it. And I'm not going to listen to outside forces. It sounds like you're very lucky that you have supporting friends and family, but that's
Yeah.
for some people, that's also part of the lesson of like, maybe my friends are not as supportive as I thought they were with my journey.
Yeah. And what you just said about discipline like resonates with me because I do feel like just on a personal level, I could benefit from a little bit more discipline. And I think that once I show myself that it's possible, I can do it with something that's as important as my finances. Like it's almost like a radical act of like not defiance, but like self-love to
I
like
was going to
let
say,
that
yeah,
bleed
self-love.
into other areas of my life. Like, and I think that's kind of what I need right now. So I'm trying to not view this whole thing as like, you screwed up and you did all this like bad stuff with your
No,
money and you're dumb. Like, I'm trying to really reframe it as you're just trying, you did what you could with what you had at the time and from what you knew
yeah,
at the time. Like, I didn't know, like, when I was 19 opening up my first credit card, nobody freaking told me
right.
what a journey it would be and like what a mess it would end up being. And I feel like that's just not, like that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, and well, so don't you're not alone. I mean, our credit card debt in the country is like $1 trillion. So
Whew, Lord.
yeah, yeah, a lot of people have credit card debt. Most people have credit card debt. Most people don't tell you when they're doing stuff that they're putting it on a credit card
Sure.
and might not be able to afford it, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have shame around it. Here's what I would say. If you had done this for 40 years and now you're 60, right? And it's just this
Hmm.
spiral of credit card debt over 40 years and now you can't retire. That's a very devastating situation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You you have emergency fund, you have retirement savings, you're working for a phenomenal, employee owned company where the statistics are the best in the country in terms of how much you would end up with retirement if you stay with them.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would say this is an opportunity, a learning opportunity, right? So you tried out
Yeah,
the credit cards and you
definitely.
found out it's not so fun
Right.
and it's a bit of a slippery slope. And there's a lot of people, more people that care to admit it, that get stuck on the credit card slide.
Hmm.
So I see it all the time on the podcast. And
Yeah.
so I think what you should be happy about is you've recognized that you don't like it, right? And it's not helping you
Yeah.
achieve what you want to achieve. You're basically getting some short-term satisfaction, but it's like long-term pain
Yeah.
for that. And
Oh my
so,
gosh, yeah. It's a perfect way to put it. Like,
mhm,
because then I look at my life, I'm like, what do I have to show for it? Like, I live in a nice home, but
mhm.
like I rent and like not saying you have to own property to be successful. I don't really subscribe to
You
that belief,
don't,
but like
yeah.
I look around and I'm like, so what the hell did I spend it on? Like it just seems so and I think for me, a huge part of it is money has always felt like an amorphous thing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's never felt real. I know that's a really weird thing to say, but it's almost like you just swipe a card and you get a thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Is that making
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it'd be one thing if you said I have 25,000 in credit cards because I went to Tahiti with my girlfriends and it was a once in a lifetime and I know I have to pay it off for 2 years, but I didn't want to
hmm
miss the trip. And I know exactly what I spent it all on. But the hard
hmm
part with credit cards, it's just so easy. And some of the stuff
yeah,
it would be hard to know what it was, right?
yeah, exactly.
So,
So,
no, I think
yeah,
you're doing all the right things. I think the biggest thing is like recognizing that you want to get it paid off and you want to change how you're spending your money going forward, right?
yeah.
And honestly, to me, the most important, when you said bartending, I was like, oh, we can fix anything if you're willing to get a second job.
Yes. Yes. And I
That,
was I was thinking of getting one for a couple months anyway because I'm just like I live in a small town, nobody lives near me. Like my sister lives, I don't know, 20 minutes away, but even still like I was feeling kind of bored and like,
yeah,
I want to meet people in the town and extra money never hurts and I have a bartending
right,
background and I genuinely enjoy it. And like you said, it's like a night out. Like I get
right.
to put on a cute outfit and like eat for free and like talk to people. So I think that was
Socialize.
yeah, exactly. It checks another box off of my list that I was looking to get checked. So,
Yeah, I think it's great. I think for me, the hard part is when someone comes on with credit card debt and then they expect like I have a magic trick to get out of
right.
it. And they're like, well, I don't want to work a second job and I don't want a roommate and I don't want to cut anything from my budget. And I'm like, okay, like we're going to rob a
Yeah.
bank? Like, I don't know what, like,
Well, and
not magic.
yeah, and I did toss around the idea. This is I don't you probably won't like this, but I tossed the idea around. I said, "Wow, I have all this money in my 401k. I should just clear it out and pay off all my debt now with because that would cover everything and that would be a fresh start for me." And I was like, I can get the problem solved in like a couple of days. And I just like something felt off to me about it, but like
So I'll tell you what
I
the problem with that is. The problem is once again, it's a short-term solution for a longer term problem, right?
okay,
So
yeah,
it's a quick fix, but this by doing it the longer way, right, over let's say 24 months or a little
yeah,
longer than that, is you're showing that you have the discipline to control your spending,
yes,
right? You're gonna
yeah,
fundamentally change your habits by saying no to things, working a second job, and paying it off. And what can happen, I'm not saying it would happen to you, but what can happen is you get it all paid off, right? And then it goes away, and then you didn't have to work as hard to pay it off, and it can creep back up.
yeah. That makes sense. And I went to my dad about that and I said, oh, I could do this. He's like, I would literally rather give you a loan of my own money and have you pay
Mhm.
it back than for you to drain your 401k because you won't learn anything and you're
That's
robbing your
exactly
future
right.
self. And
Yeah,
if you
so
don't keep that money in there, it's not going to grow.
right. And to give you perspective of what you would actually be liquidating if we looked at the future value of it, if we did it out to, God, if we did it to 70, you would die. Okay. So at 70, you'd be basically, the money is worth $500,000, your
Oh,
401k. Hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm
That's
glad
why you
that
don't want to do it. It's for
okay.
two reasons. One, because the future value is so great because you're young. And I go out to 70, which I don't know if we'll get any hate on YouTube for this one, but with our retirement ages, for younger
Sure.
people, it's probably going to be mid 60s to late 60s, maybe early 70s. So I just
Yeah.
did that. But that shows you without adding anything with compounding of interest of 7.2%, if you had liquidated your 401k, it would be worth approximately 500,000 in the future. So you would be taking 500,000 to pay off $25,000.
Wow.
That's the trade. And the
Yeah.
bigger issue that's huge, but then the second part of it is you didn't go through the discipline of, okay, I'm going
Right.
to work hard. So I see why, because like once you go through this, you're most likely because if you put your head down and work to pay it off, it's going to change you and your habits because you had to do
Yeah.
something really hard to fix it. And so you'll most likely, from what I've seen from people who have had to dig their way out of credit card debt, which is hard, they most often never go back into it because
Yeah.
of the work they put in to get out.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's a big how I ended up here is I had a bunch of credit card debt. I got the personal loan payment to pay it off, right? So I did that. And I'm back, I'm
Yeah.
paying off the stupid loan, and I
Now,
found myself
yeah.
into more credit card debt. And a lot of that was situational. I was paying for a wedding that never ended up happening. I got laid off from a job. I kind of had to survive off credit cards for a little bit. So, those things aside, though, it's like so easy to slip back into it because you see the zero balance and you're like, oh, it's like
Yep.
free money. Girl, it's not free money. In fact,
No.
it's very expensive money.
Yes, it's very expensive money. But that's why I like the idea of like doing the second job. And when you're working, right? I'm doing this to pay off the credit card debt. And that will never leave
Yes.
you. Spending 2 years working to get out of it, that will never leave you. You're never going to forget that. And so the 401k,
Yeah.
like the Upstart loan, is fast and easy and doesn't really
Hmm.
require a lifestyle change for you. And so
Yeah.
I often see, I met with somebody older, had a ton of credit card debt, liquidated the 401k to pay it off, and ended up back in credit card debt and
Yeah.
finally got disciplined, like got a new car, got a roommate, finally got the debt paid off
Hmm.
the second time. And now feels really bad because at least before there would have been a savings, right? And so now
Yeah. Yeah.
at 40, out of credit card debt again, second time, which is great, but starting at zero at
Mhm.
40.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah. But and that's why your dad, I agree with your dad. I support that. And also if you think about it from the future value, it would be 500, but also you want to change your habits, right? And this is a great way
Yes.
to change your habits. Um,
100% yes.
and then as you make more money, which you will, right? Usually with the ESOP, you'll continue to grow. Then you'll have better habits and everything will just get easier. And you'll never forget the 2 years you bartended to pay off the credit card debt. It just will
Yeah.
never leave you, you
Yeah.
know?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
that's fine. Like I'll never forget at what it's like. It's very hard also to go from making money to not making money. I'll never forget. Like I remember every dinner, right? Like I could just recall that. And that was 13 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
I won't ever forget not being able to go to a birthday because I couldn't afford to split the bill and having someone say to me, it's not a big deal, not knowing that I had no money, right?
Right.
It just doesn't go away. And so my habits have stayed, I've been, not that I wasn't disciplined, I've always been disciplined, but
Hmm.
I'm, I'm a lot more cautious than most people. And it's because for 2 years when I bought the business, I didn't have any money. I never knew how I was going to make rent or payroll, right? It's just something doesn't
Right.
leave you. And so I
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be a big spender because I went through that, you know?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I do think it's like a lot of our society, they place a lot of importance and value in like always having the best next thing or like
Yeah.
doing all these things. And like I do agree that like life should be lived and you should enjoy your
Yes.
life to the fullest, but I don't really think that should always require you to be freaking broke and like stressed about it 24/7. Like I don't know if it was I saw it on maybe one of your TikToks or someone else's, but it was like money is a tool that should help
Yep.
you move forward in life. It shouldn't hinder
Yep.
you and it shouldn't be something that is always on your mind stressing you out. And for a long time it was for me. So I need to take control and change the
Absolutely.
narrative.
And
So
you can live an amazing life at any income level. But what I will tell you, the difference is not having financial stress is a game changer. So
yeah.
when you get rid of the credit card debt, or even once you know it's under, like now it's going to be under control, right? Now you have
Right.
decided, I'm done. I'm not doing this
Yeah.
anymore.
I cut them up.
Yep, I'm taking control back and I'm going to live my life how I want. But I'm going to have to make some changes for 2 years. And then after that, I'm never doing that
Okay.
again, right? Like I've decided. So
Yeah.
now you took the ball back and it's in your court and you're in control of the situation. And even that will make life easier
Okay.
than it being out of control. And so you see all the stuff on, Instagram and everyone being able to do everything. And that isn't necessarily happiness. What I think it is having financial control and not being under financial duress, right? Like I think that
Right.
is worse of like not knowing how I'm going to handle this or the bills coming in, right? I find that to be
Yeah.
incredibly uncomfortable. And once you start to see these go down, you're going to feel so empowered. And that's why I don't think you'll ever go back to credit card debt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I did have like a question or two. I don't know if there's like
Sure.
a question section or if we have time. I know we're kind of running over on time.
Yeah, no, I can do two more questions.
Okay, so I guess my question then is because I have a couple of friends, because then I asked my friends like during this whole thing, like, so like what do you guys do in terms of like managing your finances? And my one friend was like, well, my husband and I, we put everything on a credit card, but then we pay it off in full every month. And then that
Yes.
way they can get points for
Mm-hmm.
different things like traveling and whatever. Like, I guess my question for that is obviously that is not a way that I need to be living right now because I'm not paying off my cards responsibly as they come in. But do you have any experience with anyone that you've worked with, like that has come out of credit card debt and then learned how to like successfully use them to their advantage?
Yes, I have. I think right now I agree. It's not for you right now, right? It's like not that it was an addiction, but it's like anybody that was struggling with something, usually the best thing is to cut it out, right? And then see
Right.
if you can add it back in later.
Okay.
And usually how that would go is you'd have one credit card, right?
Yes.
And you'd say I'm only allowed to put $1,000 a month on it because I'm going to put these bills on it and I'm going to already have the money to pay it.
Okay.
And I would baby step your way back in, but I would only do one card. You pick the card that has the best return, whether that's points or mile, whatever it is that you're looking for. Cash
Okay.
back maybe would be a good one.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and then say I'm only going to put these bills on it, and it's not something, and you could even auto pay those bills, and it's not something I'm just swiping. It's like,
Right. Okay.
I'm going to put the yoga is going to go on there, the car insurance, right? And you know what it's going to be every month, and then
Right.
maybe it's
It's
something
fixed.
you don't even bring with you. It's just
Okay.
stays at home. And you
Okay.
could baby step your way in, but you have to be very mindful. If you end up going over and not being able to pay it, you have to cut it up right away.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously in the very far future, but I think that
Very
it
far
would
future.
be, yeah, I think it would be something that would be helpful to manage or to use to my advantage, I guess. Well, and then my other
Yeah.
question, it's also in relation to credit. So the Amazon credit card that I have, it's not maxed out, but it's close to its max because Amazon lowered my limit on it. So I think that's why I'm looking to pay that one off
Yeah.
sooner
So
because
then,
I don't want it to really junk my credit up too bad.
okay, I completely agree. Yeah. So do that one first. It's not the smallest, but the other factor, the fact that they lowered your limit on it. So it looks like it's almost going to hit
Right.
the
It looks like
limit.
it's close to its max. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah, focus on Amazon. It'll also reduce it's your highest payment. So focus on that. And then I would put the whole 2000, whatever you get for your bonus on there. And then all your bartending money goes on there too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
And yeah, you could do it. 2 years will go by fast. I know it doesn't sound like it will, but it will.
Yeah. It will. You're right.
Yeah. Well, it was great having you on.
Likewise. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. And then I don't know, it sounds like you're close with your dad. I don't
Mm,
know. No,
yeah.
maybe ish.
We we have we're very similar in personality, so we clash sometimes, but he's a very great resource in this realm where
Okay.
he has kind of been where I've been before. He owns a few businesses, so he's in that kind of work mindset and he
Okay.
understands like a lot about how to manage money and all that. So I've been leaning on him kind of as a resource and also sort of as a bonding experience,
Experience, yeah.
So
Because I don't know if you would want to do this, but your interest on these credit cards, I'm assuming, is in the teens, if not in the 20s.
correct, yes.
The banks are paying around 4% for interest.
Hmm.
So if your dad is a business person, you could go to your dad and say, I got a bartending job. This is I'm planning on putting 500 a month on these credit cards. They're charging me, we'll just say 22%. What if I paid you 5%? It's more than you'd make in the bank, and I make the payments to you. Now, I don't know if you want to do that, but
Okay.
if he is a business person, you would be saving on interest. He would be making more interest than he'd be making in the bank. You would have to, obviously you want to pay it on time.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your relationship with your father and if that's something you would feel comfortable doing. I'm just throwing it out there because you mentioned he was into the Dave Ramsey and he offered
Yeah.
to pay
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
instead of you
Yeah.
doing the 401k.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, I like that idea, but I'm also trying to really take ownership of it and
Step,
kind of
yeah,
just like
do it yourself.
not because exactly like he took over my student loan. Thank you, Dad. Love you. You're the best. And I think, for me, asking anything more is not something that I'm comfortable with, like from a personal standpoint. Like, I don't want to feel indebted to him in that way. I would rather feel indebted to a bank, which sounds kind of weird, but like he's my dad and I want to keep our relationship kosher.
Relationship.
Like he offered to pay the student loan. So I'm like, all right, that's good. I didn't ask for any money because I don't want him to pay my way out of this. I want to take care of it myself.
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking is it a trade for interest, but I agree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you can do it. Yeah, I wouldn't ask him for the money. It's just if you wanted to lower the interest, you could pay him more than he would get. But I completely agree. I wasn't sure about throwing that out there. So yes,
Yeah.
let's stick with the
Okay.
plan. You'll tackle Amazon first.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can do it. I think the bartending job is great. Every time you're there, you're like, I'm getting rid of these credit cards. That's why I'm here. You're like,
Yeah. It motivates me to go to someone, hey, you want another drink?
I was just gonna say, be
up
like,
that check total a little bit.
yeah, would you like a cocktail instead of a beer?
Yes. Extra side of ranch with
Perfect.
your fries, 75
Yeah,
cents.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, you'll have to keep us posted. I'd love to have you back on and see how you do with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Well, Violet, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate you sharing this with everybody, and we'll be rooting for you. And
Thank
for
you.
all my lovely listeners, you can find our most up-to-date information on Instagram, Future Rich Podcast. And if you'd like to be a guest, we are recording the rest of the summer, and you can apply on www.futurerichpodcast.com. Time for our disclaimer. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance references are historical and do not guarantee future results. Make sure that you consult with your own legal, tax, and/or financial advisor before making any decisions.